For centuries, stories have circulated about a Welsh prince named Madoc, who may have crossed the Atlantic Ocean more than 300 years before Christopher Columbus. According to legend, Madoc fled political turmoil in medieval Wales, sailed west into the unknown, discovered a new land, and established a colony in North America. But is there any truth to the story? In this video, we'll examine the historical origins of the Madoc legend, the evidence supporting it, the evidence against it, and why the story remains one of the most fascinating mysteries in Atlantic exploration. Madoc is traditionally identified as a son of Owain Gwynedd, one of medieval Wales' most powerful rulers. After Owain's death in 1170, disputes erupted among his heirs. According to later Welsh traditions, Madoc chose to leave rather than become involved in civil war. The story claims he turned his attention westward, toward the Atlantic Ocean. This decision would eventually become one of the most famous legends in Welsh history. To understand the Madoc story, we must understand medieval Wales. The Welsh were not isolated mountain people. They maintained active trade and communication across the Irish Sea and beyond. Welsh sailors were familiar with ocean travel, and Viking influence had introduced additional seafaring knowledge into the region. While crossing the Atlantic would have been extraordinary, it was not completely beyond the capabilities of medieval mariners. The core legend is fairly straightforward. Madoc supposedly sailed west and discovered a pleasant, fertile land. He then returned to Wales and described his discovery. Inspired by the opportunity, he gathered additional settlers and launched a second voyage. After that voyage, neither Madoc nor his followers were ever seen again. This disappearance became the foundation for centuries of speculation. One of the biggest challenges facing historians is the complete lack of contemporary evidence. No surviving 12th century Welsh records mention Madoc's voyage. The earliest written versions of the story appear hundreds of years after the events supposedly occurred. This does not automatically prove the story false, but it significantly weakens its historical reliability. The Madoc story first appears in Welsh literature centuries after the alleged voyage. By that point, memories, legends, folklore, and political agendas may have influenced the narrative. This is one reason historians treat the story cautiously. The gap between the alleged event and the first written accounts is substantial. Following Columbus's voyages, European powers competed fiercely for territory. The Madoc story became politically useful. If a Welsh prince had reached America centuries earlier, England could argue that its claim predated Spanish exploration. As a result, the story gained popularity during the Age of Exploration. The legend never clearly identifies where Madoc landed. Over time, writers filled in the blanks. Some proposed Florida, others suggested Alabama or Mobile Bay. Still others argued that Madoc entered the Gulf of Mexico and traveled up the Mississippi River system. This flexibility is part of the legend's appeal but also one of its weaknesses. The Mississippi theory is particularly intriguing. Once a vessel entered the Gulf, the Mississippi River provided access deep into the North American interior. This would explain how a small colony might have become isolated from Europe while still surviving among indigenous populations. However, no archaeological evidence has confirmed such a journey. One of the most famous theories linked Madoc's colonists to the Mandan people. European observers noted that some Mandan individuals had lighter complexions and occasionally lighter eye colors. Others pointed to similarities in village design and certain cultural practices. These observations led some to speculate about Welsh ancestry. Today, genetic genealogy provides tools unavailable to earlier researchers. Studies of indigenous populations have found no evidence supporting a medieval Welsh founder group among the Mandan or neighboring tribes. While isolated European ancestry can occur from later historical contact, no genetic evidence supports the Madoc colony theory. This is one of the strongest arguments against the legend. Archaeologists have uncovered extensive evidence of indigenous civilizations throughout North America. However, no verified Welsh settlement has ever been discovered. No medieval Welsh weapons, tools, inscriptions, or structures have been conclusively identified. Without archaeological evidence, the theory remains speculative. Possibility and proof are not the same thing. Experimental voyages have shown that medieval-style boats could potentially cross the Atlantic. Irish Curragh reconstructions have successfully sailed portions of the route. The voyage itself was technically possible. The real question is whether it actually happened. Many cultures have legends of reaching America before Columbus. The Vikings stand apart because they left clear archaeological evidence at Land's Meadows. Madoc lacks this kind of evidence. As a result, historians generally place him in the category of legend rather than confirmed explorer. The Madoc legend survives because it touches something fundamental in human imagination: a prince fleeing civil war, ships disappearing into unknown waters, a lost colony hidden somewhere in North America. Whether true or not, it remains a compelling story. As genealogists, we encounter legends all the time. Family stories can contain kernels of truth, but they must be supported by evidence. The Madoc story serves as an excellent reminder that compelling narratives are not always historical realities. Good research requires documentation, corroboration, and critical analysis. Could a Welsh prince have crossed the Atlantic in the 12th century? Absolutely. Do we have evidence proving that he did? No, we don't. Today, Madoc remains one of history's most intriguing maritime legends. His story sits at the intersection of folklore, exploration, politics, archaeology, and genealogy. Until new evidence emerges, Madoc will remain what he has been for centuries: a mystery. Do you think Madoc was a real explorer whose story was lost to time? Or do you believe the legend developed centuries later for political reasons? If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and join us for more explorations of history, genealogy, migration, and the stories hidden within our past.